10 seconds.
Now it's on.
Oh, no, they're not on.
Okay.
Click yours. All right, it is 7 o'clock. Welcome to the Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 Pembroke
do
Select
this.
Board meeting. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note that this meeting is being made available to the public through a live video and audio broadcast on Comcast Government Access Channel 9 and YouTube channel at Pembroke Meetings LS and is being recorded for broadcast at future dates. Comments made in open session will be recorded. Does anyone have any announcements today? I have a couple.
Sunday's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Well, thank you, Dan.
I have some, but go ahead if you want.
Nope, go ahead.
So, just a quick announcement, the Lydia Drake Library Open House will be Sunday, June 22nd from 10 to 2. If you're not familiar with the Lydia Drake Library, it's a beautiful little place, and it's located at 340 High Street. Second announcement is early voting for our annual town election is occurring every day at Pembroke Town Hall in the town clerk's office through next Wednesday, the 14th. If you can't early vote, you can vote in our annual election on Saturday the 17th at the community center. All of our precincts vote at the community center. So in case you haven't voted in a bit, remember that you no longer vote at those old precinct locations. Everybody votes at the community center. So that's all I have.
What was the date for Lydia Drake again?
Lydia Drake is June 22nd from 10 to 2.
Thank you. I have a couple of announcements. We have exciting news for our young residents. We did launch a kids ballot for the under 18 crowd. While the grown-ups vote on town matters, our younger community members will get the chance to cast their vote in a very important question: is a hot dog a sandwich? The kids ballot will be available at the same time as in-person early voting and on election day. To give you a little background, Troop had reached out to Steve and I, Troop 77434, it's a Brownie troop in Pembroke. They were looking for some help acquiring the Democracy for Brownies badge, and their idea was that they would host a debate where each of us took a group of the girls and decided whether we thought a hot dog was a sandwich or not, which it's not. And
It is.
and we just did a little discussion with the girls and researched a little bit, and then we had a debate and a vote. The girls and the troop actually voted a tie, so there was no change. So the hot dog still is not a sandwich, because that's how it works. And so we thought that it would be fun to bring it to the kids so that they would have an opportunity to try, the kids in the town, to give them a little experience in the voting process. So we just wanted to thank Meg Mueller, Amanda Napolitan, and Carol Levesque. They were the troop leaders whose idea it was. The girls are super excited about this. They've been sharing it with everybody. The plan is that Andy McKettrick, our town clerk, will announce the results along with our official election results, and then we'll announce it again here, of course, at our next meeting. Maybe there'll be a proclamation that a hot dog is a sandwich. I don't know.
That's not a sandwich.
And the girls are hoping to come out at that meeting just to listen. So we're excited about it. I'm excited to have them. And like I said, they're very, very happy about it.
Great opportunity to get them involved and feel for the process.
I know. They're so cute. Library had a couple events they wanted to share. They have a Lego club running on May 13th from 4 to 5, a mosquito safety course or informational program on May 28th from 4 to 5, and then they're running an alien-themed escape room on May 27th from 4 to 5. And you would need to register at the library to attend those. And that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. All righty. Our first scheduled appointment is Kathleen Kelby. She has a donation. There's a donation acceptance for Easter egg hunt from a few different Pembroke businesses, I believe.
Thank you all for the time today. My name is Kathleen Kelby. I'm proud to serve as a recreational petitioner and as a local business person of Pembroke School of Performing Arts. I'm here today representing Peter Brown of Tiny & Sons and the exec board of the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce. We're excited to announce that each of us has donated $500 in support of the return of the Easter egg hunt at the Pembroke Community Center, which took place April 17th. We're thrilled to see this event return to the community center, a space that is bringing joy, connection, and traditions to our families in this town. In addition, I'd like to speak on behalf of the Friends of the Community Center to share some really exciting news. Some of them are with me today.
Agreeable.
Not a problem. The Friends have received a $25,000 grant from the Sala Foundation in support of our efforts to foster continued improvements and activities at the community center. This generous grant was initiated by our dear friend Joel Sugarman, the founder of the Friends Group, and we're honored to accept it in his memory and continue the work he began to bring his vision for the community center to life. Thank you again for your time, your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. How long was the Easter egg hunt on hiatus for? Do we know?
I think we narrowed it down to it was 5 years.
Wow, is that long? That's always been a big event here.
If I could just
Please.
speak on that behalf, since we have those in the room. So one, we were very excited. I was never a part of the egg hunt previous to this, so my first egg hunt experience. Great feedback. We were excited to bring it back to the center. It was so large, we had to go to the lower field. We would love to have done it on the green to bring it back truly to the green. But the group was just so large, we had almost 17,000, 18,000 eggs.
Wow.
So we had, it seemed to, the process we brought with the little ones going first, and then the older kids seemed to work very well, and we'll build on that. We're excited. We also had a sensory space so that those that wanted to participate in the egg hunt, that didn't feel comfortable in those bigger crowds could do that. We want to continue to build on that in our various community events, so we're excited to see that happen with Katrina Delaney's help and the crew there. And then we're very excited. I had the opportunity to work closely with Joel to help see this grant go through with the Sala Foundation. He was very passionate about this, right? And to see the community center have opportunities to do some programming. So he helped, really this grant was focusing on materials and activities and equipment and things to help provide different activities at the center. So working closely with the Sala Foundation, he was close with Joe Sala, who helped found the foundation. They have every intention of supporting this probably long term, and we're hoping to continue that. But we're excited for the $25,000 and for the group that helped support that, and we're excited to put that to use at the new center. So.
Thank you. Did you have something?
No, I just want to make sure you need to vote to accept.
Yes. we
The
will.
other one's a grant, so there's no vote required.
Is there anything, this is probably a little bit ahead of time, but is there anything, I've been in conversations about doing any sort of memorial for Joel? Like anything on
There
property?
has, and in fact, the foundation would like to support, so I'm hoping we can sort of figure that out. I know
Okay.
we're still sort of working on policy when it comes to naming and things like
Yep.
that, so.
I have some ideas that I'm going to be bringing forward.
I think that would be lovely. All right, do I have a motion?
Yep, I will move to accept the donation of Kathleen Kelby and Pembroke Chamber of Commerce businesses to support the Pembroke Easter egg hunt, donations that total $1,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you again, Kathleen. Did you have something?
I just want to mention it was also Tiny & Sons. Peter
Yeah,
Brown.
we,
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
Yep, we have the whole list. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next appointment we have is renewal of mobile food vendor permit, Bill Cardellino for Delicious Dogs. Would Bill happen to be here today?
I don't see him.
No.
Actually, he would weigh in on that.
Curious
Yeah,
to know his,
decide that?
No, and I
What's that?
think he would have supported it as a sandwich.
Oh, I didn't even think
Yeah,
of that.
Okay, so
Well, that's
Mr.
unfortunate.
So we're denying the permit now?
Oh, no.
So Mr. Cardellino began the permitting process with Pembroke in 2013, and he took a few years off during COVID. He is the hot dog stand at Lowe's.
Right.
So when you go to Lowe's and you stop and get your sausage or your dog or whatever, Mr. Cardellino's Delicious Dogs is the outfit that does that. And the reason you permit him as a mobile vendor is to make sure that all the inspections and annual checks are done. So he knows to come, but he is at this point such a frequent flyer with us that his not being here I don't think should slow you down.
So all of his paperwork is
All of his
in place.
paperwork is correct. He's already made his appointment for his inspection with the health agent. He has already checked on his business certificate if he needed one, but he's mobile. So,
Okay,
he lives in Marshfield. He's a very nice man.
perfect. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or a motion?
I move to grant the application of Bill Cardelina doing business as Delicious Dogs for a mobile food vendor permit to be exercised at 108 Church Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Alrighty, next up, we have door-to-door solicitation permit application for Seaport Pest Solutions. Are you here to speak?
Hey guys.
Hi.
And Griffith, will you tell them your name and?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys taking the time to have me today and consider us for a door-to-door permit. We're a newer pest control company out of Plymouth. We offer premium pest control services. We have a lot of customers in Duxbury, the Pembroke area. So we go back to these areas in the summer times and remarket to neighbors. And they're all dressed very similar to how I am. So we really kind of value door to door. I feel like it's a bad rap in kind of the presentation of the sales rep or the person going door to door. So all the guys and girls that are out there working for us, we kind of want them to, have a good presentation so that the homeowner who does open the door, it's not like seeing a complete stranger. But yeah, that's my rundown. Thanks.
Thank
I have a
you.
question.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, we also have a do not solicit list. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so we assign an area based on customers and then also kind of like certain guys that have worked those areas before. And then we assign those lists based off of those certain neighborhoods. So we kind of have a software that I have on my iPad where certain homes we mark, certain for not solicitation, it would be a do not knock. Whereas the other homes will show either a customer's pin, that is a current customer, or somebody who maybe that said no to us last year.
So we occasionally get an email, I know
Yeah.
I do,
Yeah,
and say, we're on the do not call
Yeah.
contact list,
Yeah.
and they still came. And
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that that's very important to you guys. because
Yeah.
It's important to us.
yeah.
And I know you're not alone, this is the first time?
Well, yeah,
In Pembroke?
first time doing it the right way.
Right, okay. So I know there's another one tonight, and I'm going to reiterate that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I won't for you.
Yeah,
Your additional employees, they're all out of state. Or
Yeah.
Is it a summer job for them, or
yeah,
what's going on?
yep. So yeah, we offer a college internship for students to, one, kind of learn, communication skills, all that stuff, problem solving. And so most of us are hired from other states or other colleges, but they're all in school and using this as an internship to help graduate.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And all the paperwork is complete.
All of the paperwork is complete.
All right. I don't have any questions. Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve the application of Tom Flaherty on behalf of Seaport Pest Solutions, Cape Cod LLC, for a door-to-door solicitation permit authorizing sales from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. or dusk, whichever first, Monday through Sunday for 90 days. Permit to expire August 7th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks guys, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Griffith. Take care. You bet.
Next up, we have door-to-door solicitation permit application for Power Home Remodeling. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Matthew Manning, representing the group as a whole. So we are Power Home Remodeling. We've been in Pembroke before. I can't tell you exactly how long ago it was, but we have been permitted here in the city before. Basically, we are an exterior home remodeling company. So we do everything from windows, roofing, siding, doors, gutters, trim, and attic insulation. So pretty much everything exterior-wise on the home. So basically what we do as a company, again, it's a door-to-door job, right? So we go knock on the residents' doors, we actually find a good time to actually offer just a free estimate. There's no obligation to do anything with the estimate, and we do guarantee a price in writing for the residents for an entire calendar year. So something that's pretty unique about us, we're the largest exterior remodeler in the country. So we are able to get these products at a very low cost, making it very beneficial to homeowners. And at the end of the day, if they don't decide that they want to do business with us in the future, happy days. There's a lot of great companies and great people out there that can do this work. We're just there to give them some free information, and if they take it as value, great. That's our job, to give them some value on their house. And at the end of the day, if they want to get some other pricing, get other people to look at the projects that we can help them out with, we're happy to let them do that as well. We just hope they call us back whenever they're ready to do the project. And again, they have a whole year with the price that we give them, especially with how pricing can fluctuate. We guarantee it for a year, so very, very valuable to the homeowner. Just like you kind of asked the question as well, we do respect the do not knock list as much as we possibly can. Obviously, humans, we might make a mistake, but if that's the case,
$300.
$300.
And an email in my email box.
That's right.
Maybe
An
2
email
a.m.
and $300.
So I appreciate your addressing that. Thank you.
We try our very best. We have everyone that has the list on their phone written down so that they know the exact address of the houses that are on those lists. And if it is a mistake that we do make it, obviously we're very apologetic and making sure that we're trying our best to avoid those situations at all possible. But that's basically us in a nutshell.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Paperwork is in place.
It's largely complete. The police department will do a deep background check, just to make sure that we'd have all of the group members. There are 6 of them. So in this particular case, I-Corys were not submitted. Every other piece of paperwork was. We are okay, and the police department's prepared to just go forward with a background check.
So should the motion be amended to include that?
Okay, add it right
It
to
should
the end.
definitely be subject to the approval of the police chief. I'm sorry that's not there. It is a bifurcated process in our bylaw, so you vote, and then the police chief reserves the right to reject the applicant, which has happened to this board before. You guys approved an applicant one time, it got over to the police station, and they rejected it. So they do get that final say after the background checks come back.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Do I have a motion then?
Motion to approve the applicant, Kyle Kennedy and Brian Stanton, on behalf of Power Home Remodeling for a door-to-door solicitation permit authorizing sales from 9 a.m. to dusk, 8 p.m. or dusk, Monday through Sunday, for 90 days, permit to expire August 7th, 2025.
Could you add the rest?
Subject.
Do we need to add it? I don't think we need to add
I think
that.
we should.
it's
It
standard.
is a
It-
bylaw
Please do.
requirement.
It is a bylaw requirement. You're welcome to add it. I often do that as a courtesy. In this particular case, our bylaw clearly spells out bifurcated. You have a role, they have a role. So you can approve it, and the chief can still
The
deny it.
amendment would be superfluous.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's up to you. Board's choice.
Either way is fine. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Good luck.
All right. Next up, we have a special event permit, May 10th, 6 to 10 p.m. from Somewhere Else Tavern at 65 School Street. Hi, Jason. Come on up.
Good evening, Board. I'm Jason Cook. My wife and I own Somewhere Else Tavern. This will be our 5th year. I don't know if I need to explain myself anymore. We own Fork in the Road Catering and Sandwich Shop. We also own the Hitching Post in Hanson, so we're familiar with the food industry, obviously, and we do have a wedding coming in. I am in the appeal stages of my outside entertainment license for the tent this summer. Sabrina's been helping me diligently and
Do
telling
do
me
you
how
want
to
me
work
to
with things.
jump in and tell them the status of that? Just so
That would be great, Sabrina.
No worries,
Thank you
no
very
worries.
much.
Mr. Cook's been through the zoning board and received a variance for the location of the tent. The setback wasn't quite up to par. They reviewed it over 2 meetings and determined that it was absolutely acceptable for him to lay the tent where it was. Again, subject to all the inspections that would be required, fire chief, wiring inspector, the whole 9 yards. Then he went to the planning board and got site plan approval. Now, they put a lot of caveats and restrictions on it. Those restrictions are in here, but it's not relevant to this event. You're going to see this again in just a few short weeks when he applies for a permanent alteration of premises. This is a one-off, one-day wedding. It's a good opportunity to see if, well, this is my opinion, but through the planning board process and site plan approval, he had to get an engineer who went through and gave the detail that you see in the materials about soundproofing, turning the stage, angling it differently, trying to make sure that some of the abutters who may be present and other abutters are not as impacted. So having a wedding on the 10th is a potential barometer for you to consider when you see this application in its permanent form. Huh? There isn't a butter here. Whether he chooses to remain that silent, that's perfectly acceptable. I just mean, Mr. Cook's done a lot of work working with them, and he's seen 2 other boards at this point. For this one-off event, again, it could be a good indication of how successful or how not successful the plans that he's put in place might be. And his paperwork is complete for a special events one-day permit for May 10th, so that he can be outside in the parking lot from 6 to 10 with music.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Does anyone have any comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Sure.
So before us this evening is a one-day license. I'm very interested in the long-term plans, the permanent processing. I just want to make sure that the abutters are being heard and their objections are being heard, and you're working with them, and there's a whole process of ZBA and the planning board, and I'm sure you've had discussions with them, and that'll come before this board at a later date, but I just don't want that to taint tonight's vote.
Thank you. That makes sense. Anybody else? Nothing? All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant the application of Jason Cook of Somewhere Else Tavern located at 65 School Street for a special event permit for a live band from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on May 10th, 2025 for a live outdoor music from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. subject to the approval of the Pembroke Police Chief.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about the hours.
That's quite all right.
It was a little redundant, but.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Lord.
Good luck.
Certificate. It'll be ready tomorrow. Yep.
It's a few minutes early, and I do not see Mr. Dodge.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
might
Would you
wanna
care to
skip
take the
them.
resignation and minutes?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so we're going to jump to board action items. I'll just grab that. First up is vote to accept the resignation of Jeffrey McMaster from the advisory committee. Do I have a motion?
Some discussion.
Sure.
Linda, I just want to thank you, just looking at the exchange that was in the materials, just in terms of checking and ensuring the level of engagement of members and things like that. Some of those are discussions that we've had in the past. So I just wanted to thank you for how you manage the advisory board.
Thank you.
And I do have a couple of questions. How many open seats are there right now on advisory? There are 2 currently.
With this resignation, there will be 2.
Now there are 2. And how many applicants do we have currently?
3.
There's 3 applicants?
Yes.
Okay.
One is serving in a different capacity for another week or so, and I do believe advisory after town meeting is going to set up interviews with all of them, so they can start making some of these recommendations.
Okay. Cool.
I don't want to speak out of turn, Linda. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sabrina, could you just remind the board and the public what the procedure for appointing a new advisory committee member is, and it's a joint appointment?
I'm glad you asked that, because there's a warrant article that may be heard on Tuesday night, May 13th at 7 p.m. at the Pembroke High School that will clarify this once and for all as an appointing authority of the chair of the select board, the chair of the advisory, and Mr. Moderator. So I guess the point is, let's see how town meeting rolls. Let's see how these candidates do. Steve, I will forward you all the applications, but I think Donna would probably be better suited for that, but one way or the other. No, it wouldn't, but I think at that point, yeah, it wouldn't, but it's so confusing now, Steve, I don't know that it would make any difference.
Do I have a motion?
I would move to accept the resignation of Jeffrey McMasters from the advisory committee effective immediately.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
How about vote to accept the minutes of April 23rd, 2025?
Motion to accept the minutes of April 23rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Are you expecting anyone else from advisory, Linda, or is it just you and Mr. Dodge? Would you care to start early?
What's that?
You're not under it. I see it's a little light, but it's coming up.
All right.
All right. Then next up is joint meeting with town moderator, advisory, town meeting preview.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great to be here again. All year.
Hi.
Thanks for getting us through, Mr. Town Manager, without a special town meeting in the fall. But it's great to be here. I just think we've done this for quite a few years. And again, I sound like a broken record, but I just want to make sure the public knows that the purpose of this meeting is really just to make sure we're all in the same wavelength with regard to procedures for the meeting, who's going to make the main motion, and what everyone's recommendation is going to, what the board, advisory board recommendation going to be, if you know at this point. So it's not to predetermine what the outcome is. That's up to town meeting. So that's not the point of this meeting. It's just kind of, as I like to call it, trying to go through a run of show. So we should be able to do it fairly quickly. We'll just kind of run through the warrant without really talking about substance, but just to make sure that I'm clear on it. I do have a couple of questions with regard to the petition articles, which are at the end.
Only a couple.
Well, yeah, I only have two, actually, questions, but I did talk to the main petitioners, except Rich, I haven't talked to you yet, but the other two articles today. So, once again, remind the public that everybody watching the town meeting is 7 o'clock. Oh, there it is. At the high school, we have this great new check-in service that's electronic for the most part, which expedites things, but don't get there at 7:02 and expect to, well, hopefully if there's a line, we won't start right away. But the earlier people get there and get checked in, the closest to 7, we can start. And actually, we've had a pretty good track record of starting within 5 or 10 minutes of 7 o'clock, thanks to everybody and the good work of the town clerk's office. So as posted here, we have 30 articles on the warrant, and then you add a bunch more for the community preservation, so it's like 36 articles or so. And then the special warrant has 3 articles, and then the consent agenda, if the meeting agrees to it, will get a bunch done at one time. So we can start, we do have to, the meeting has to elect a town clerk, a clerk for the meeting. The board knows this, right? So we'll do that first thing. We've had a couple of volunteers. The past 2 previous clerks have both volunteered. Peg has been away, but I'm sure she will be back in time and has agreed to do it. I thank Mary Ann Smith for volunteering as well. Peg's the most recent, that's why I asked her. And so she, assuming, we'll have her placed in nomination, but, assuming no one else runs, she will be the clerk, just for the meeting. Thank town council for discovering that little quirk in the law that who knew. And the law is that if there is an interim town clerk,
Yes.
the interim town clerk cannot be the clerk for the meeting. That's the law, I think. So, all right. So first article, and so we do the lottery system, except for the budget and for the wage and personnel schedule. So we'll do those right out of the box. I was going to ask you, Mr. Manager, if you could do a really quick public safety update. Would that be I think that's what people ask me about, and public safety.
The building?
Building update.
I was going to do it under town manager updates, but.
Well, no, I mean tonight, I'm sorry.
Oh, at town meeting, yeah, I can do it, sure.
And I I'm not concerned, but we have a lot of business and a lot of things that could potentially be
Sure.
controversial. So I do want to get right into it. We had a number of people that I don't want to recognize who we lost over the past year, and that may take a minute or two. So I know you're always quick, but I think,
Absolutely.
I get asked all the time, what's the status? And I pride myself on not knowing because I need to be Switzerland. So I really don't know what's going on. I think most people don't, and we still don't have a newspaper, so that's a little bit of a problem. So, yeah, that would be great. I'm assuming that's is the only thing, the most important thing. Is there something else you need to
Yeah,
address?
whatever, if they have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
But certainly that is pressing
Right.
and eminent. So, good timing.
Great, okay, I appreciate you doing that. So first article is well, I should explain the consent agenda. We passed a bylaw a number of years ago, again, this is really for the edification of people watching at home, that allows us to do a consent agenda, which is articles that both the board and the moderator have agreed are non-controversial. And the way we do it is we wait to so it's Articles 6, 7, 8, 26, and 27. Those are all routine articles. So whichever the first one comes out of the box, we'll make a motion, advisory will make the motion to take them all as one. The meeting reserves the right to not do that, take one out of order or discuss one. That's totally up to the meeting. Usually it doesn't happen, but assuming that goes as planned, we'll get rid of 5 articles through the consent agenda. So first article is the, thank you, is the wage and classification plan. So my only question is, will there be any changes from what's printed in the warrant? And that's question one. Question two is the advisory agreement with
So-
the board.
So what we have,
No changes.
yeah, I don't think
I've
so.
never had a change.
Yeah, no. there's no
We haven't, but there used to be in the past, and it kind
Yeah.
of slowed things down a little bit, which is
And-
fine.
We're a
Not
professional
proposing-
corporation now.
Not proposing any changes. I gave the numbers to advisory. We were still at that exact same number. Select board, when they had their presentation, same number.
Great, okay. And the meeting reserves the right to amend any but line item, so we don't take that away from them, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And the same thing for the wage and classification plan. Actually, I had that mixed up. That's Article 1. Article 2 is the operating budget. Any changes in the wage and
No.
classification plan? Okay, great. Article 3, water enterprise account. This is normally routine. It's spelled out as an appendix to the warrant. And by the way, I urge everyone to get a copy of the warrant ahead of time. It'll save us time. They're online. Copies available here, right? Yeah, so.
We've got 400 of them. I'm
Okay.
afraid, and by the way, Steve, just in the off chance that this for bid should ever go to a second night, can you make an announcement to please hold on to their warrants?
Yeah, I will. Remind me, but I will.
I know.
I'll remember that. Yeah. Save paper. Article 4 is the solid waste operating budget, which is the specifics of which are in attachment D of the warrant, so people have the information in front of them. And again, I'm assuming these will all be advisory committee motions, yeah. And Article 5 is the capital budget, which if I remember is fairly extensive. But I'm guessing the motion.
It's a long warrant, thanks to bond counsel. I mean, it's a
Okay.
long motion, thanks to bond counsel.
Oh, okay, the motion is going to be long. Okay, well, sorry, you pay the big bucks, right? Yeah. So
We'll give you one.
advisory will make the motion on the capital budget. So again, line items won't change from
Nope.
what's printed in the warrant, so people can see it. Great. Article 6, which is on the consent, is just trust fund transfers. And these are just funds that have to be established every year. And there are dollar amounts that have to be established every year. And Article 7 is Community Preservation Fund. And these are not the specific projects. Those will be later in the warrant. This is just the amount that the town is required.
Statutory requirement from the Commonwealth.
So again, should not be, so that's also on the consent calendar. Article 8 is revolving fund limits, establishing revolving accounts, or not establishing the accounts, but establishing the limits.
Caps. Yep.
Excuse me. And again, that's usually not controversial, and so that's on the consent calendar. Article 9, do we have a collective bargaining agreement?
We
for
do.
the-
We have
Okay.
signed with fire, and so we will have, there is one group that has settled.
Okay, and who's going to advise we make the motion? Everybody's agreement? Okay. Article 10 is allow the town to accept the provisions of a new state law allowing cameras on school buses. And that law, it's kind of nice to read it actually, is in the Appendix F of the warrant. People want to read the entire statute that we're adopting, and who's going to move that? Advisory? Okay, great.
The school committee wanted to be ready to speak to it. It looks on its face to be an enforcement on a school bus. It's not. It's enforcement outside of the school bus.
Yep.
So it's for safety, not for monitoring inside the bus.
Article 11 is to transfer the closed fire station on Washington Street, right at 14 and Washington Street. That requires a 2/3. This just gives it back to the selectmen to dispose of, right? And so who's going to move that? Will that be advisory? Okay. Article 12 is another land transfer that also is contingent upon this great and general court passing a specific act allowing us to do this. And that would require 2/3. The fire station doesn't need a special act, right? It's just this one, right? And where is this property?
So it's the Swanberg property
Oh,
for
yeah.
the new well. We need to make sure, just as a quick explanation on this,
That's good.
there are DEP zones around wellheads where the town must control the land. There are two little sections that are privately owned around that zone. We are swapping some of the big parcel that we own with those two little lots, two little sections, so that we can make everybody whole. The town is whole because we're taking their land, and they're whole because we're giving them a portion of our land that's outside of that protective zone around the well. That's what this is all about.
Is there a dollar value associated with that?
There is not. There is no cost to the town and no cost to the residents.
Great. Okay, that's Article 12. And that'll be advisory as well, okay. Article 13 is to amend the zoning bylaw to, I'm understanding it in 10 words or less.
So,
Correct me.
go ahead.
Yeah.
There's three parts of
Okay,
Article
well,
13.
just explain it then.
All right, so Article 13, there was a request to make marijuana sales legal in the town. Article 13 has three motions, A, B, and C. Okay, so motion A amends the bylaw. Motion, zoning bylaw, correct. Motion B amends the legal language surrounding that. And then motion C establishes an excise tax on any sales of marijuana.
Okay. So is this, am I oversimplifying by saying we're allowing retail marijuana establishments where currently we allow medical establishments?
That is
only?
correct.
Okay.
100%.
Yep.
And who's going to move that one?
I don't know. Who's going to move it? Yeah, no, I think, yeah, because it's a three-part motion. There's different boards involved, because you've got planning with motion A, because they had to approve the zoning, and then other boards with motions B and C. So,
And Steve, your first motion is a 2/3, the other two are just...
I was just going to ask that,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. 2/3 for the first.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And once the town council's finished looking at this, I'm going to send it to you. It's very clearly laid out in the motions. So you'll have that hopefully by the end.
So you will be making three motions. So we'll have to do one at a time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, great. And maybe who's the best entity to explain it as simply as we've done here?
I can.
Okay.
yeah, it's,
And just jump up and I'll recognize you.
You should have the, you can see. Without C, and B or something.
yeah. If we don't pass C, A and B make no difference. I mean, it makes no sense. If you're not going to collect revenue from it, don't do it.
Because you have to have first.
So,
Okay.
So A has to go first.
Well, I can't tell meeting what to
No,
do, but-
I understand.
but
I'm
no,
just-
I know. but
my
it's a good
opinion
point
as
to
a
make.
manager.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
legally, like, that's how this works. A is the zoning change so that you have a place to put them. B is changing the general bylaws to no longer prohibit them in Pembroke. And C is the excise tax piece. And And the whole concept of A and B was predicated on trying to obtain 3% of sales to, all of our neighbors are doing it.
I can't see that not happening, but it could. So maybe
You never know.
But that's that thought process. It's not as random as it seems.
Okay, thank you. Article 14 is, now I'm just blanking. Oh, it just adds,
So Article
you
14.
can't vape in public.
Basically, in a public way, the law changed a little bit, so we have to update our bylaw to get, first of all, put the right CMR and statute in our regulation, but also vaporize or ingest. I think two keywords that are added.
Is this the screen that's going to be up?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but it can be up. I've prepared it, so,
Why not? We can
Yeah.
wait till that,
yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been told I sometimes go too fast for the closed captioning,
Mhm.
so I'll try to slow it down a little bit. I can't see that because it's behind me, but we're still going to have the closed captioning.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a great feature, and several people have said that they really benefit from it, so that's great. Okay, so who's going to move that? Okay.
And staying in the same theme.
Yeah, so, real quick with Article 15.
Yeah, 15.
We have a bylaw that says you can't consume marijuana or possess it. It is in violation, it is in opposition to state statute as it currently exists, so we can't have a bylaw that restricts state statute, so we have to remove this language from our bylaw.
You're gonna make a motion? Yeah. I may ask you, Bill, because 10 words of explanations saves 10 minutes of debate sometime, 10 seconds of explanation, that maybe just recognize you to quickly
Sure.
explain it, and I think that will save a lot of questions. And again, not trying to rush through it, but just trying to make it clear for people. Article 16 is the start of the, oh no, this is separate from the bylaw change committee, but to eliminate redundant, I'm losing my job as town
Sorry, Steve.
cemetery commissioner. What a loss. No pun intended. So that's just to kind of clean up some old committees that we don't need anymore. And advisory committee, okay. I ended up in that position because my father was in that position. But we haven't
You can
met.
be honorary.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one left.
Yes, sir.
So Article 17 is the, proposed by the Bylaw Review Committee to eliminate the sale of black plastic bags,
Nope, black plastic packaging.
packages. not
Yep,
bags.
you know restaurant takeout?
Yeah, right. So, so there's a series of recommendations here by the Bylaw Review Committee. I would like to, they put a lot of work in over,
And town council has vetted all of this.
oh, yeah, no, I know that. I just want to recognize them.
Okay, you want to recognize,
Mr.
on this
Flynn?
one, Fraser Townley,
Okay,
on this one.
okay.
We're going to change it up a little bit as we go forward.
So
Right. That's right. You're on-
Fraser's,
you chair or?
I'm chair, yes.
Yeah, right, that's right, yeah.
Fraser intends to speak on it?
He will introduce this, and he will speak if needed on this, yes.
So he'll be making the motion.
He will make the motion.
All right, I will get this to him.
I don't know, maybe is it on the website for members of the committee? I just want to recognize them because.
It is.
you guys
It's on
have
the
done a lot
select
of
board's
work.
page, drop down to bylaw review committee, click
Okay,
it, and
I'll just get it
they're
from
all
there.
right there.
I forgot to look.
Yep, no worries.
And there's a lot of good articles here. Okay, that's 17, right? Okay. Black plastic packages. Article 18, again by the Bylaw Review Committee.
You're going to recognize Scott Shanaran.
Okay.
Shahara.
If you want, Steve, tomorrow I can connect you when I send the motions to each one of
Yeah,
them.
that would be
I'll put
great.
you on
Just-
the
just-
email and connect you guys.
Yeah, I don't need to talk to, I just want to know
Electronic
who it
handshake,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
The-
Oh, this is, okay.
The select board would be ready to jump up if some of them, if these other members don't make the motion.
Please, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a quick pause, we'll jump up.
yeah. As I said, a little bit of explanation saves a lot of time. I didn't explain this one, so Rich, just so people watching know what it is.
Yeah, so this is about roofs and in particular historical zones, and they're providing a little bit of relief for people who live in those zones, that they don't have to potentially replace what is there. They will accept something similar of a less expensive replication, so to say. But Scott is on that board, and he will give a detailed explanation at town meeting.
Great. That's great. Next one is, we talked about this earlier, it's my favorite article. Gives me a little more power. Not that I have that much or want that much, but it amends the bylaw. There's always a quirk in the existing bylaw that there's appointing committee of the Board of Selectmen Advisory Committee, each has one vote, and the moderator to appoint a member of advisory committee. And that's common in most towns, the moderator, and some towns, moderators have appointing authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either the only appointing authority for the advisory committee or many other committees as well. I don't want many other committees. But advisory, I cut my teeth on advisory years ago. It's, as we know, an important committee. So, but if there was an unfilled vacancy, unexpired term, it was a different process, which none of us, I think, have been able to figure out since I've been moderator. So this just makes the process the same, that it's the appointing authority of the board, one vote, me one vote, the moderator one vote, and the advisory committee one vote, so,
Consistently.
yeah. And, Rich, you know who's gonna move that one, or we?
It came out of our committee, but we didn't have a lot to do with that one. I'm happy to introduce it. I couldn't, I won't
Yeah,
be
okay.
able to elaborate on it.
It's really most of it's housekeeping and additions.
I'll introduce that.
Okay.
And if there's any questions, maybe you can,
So
okay.
you can move it.
Yeah, I'll move that.
Yeah, okay. Article 20 allows liquor at the community center for specific functions. I hope I'm not oversimplifying it.
Nope.
And,
Exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
and again, another bylaw review
Yeah,
committee.
I'm happy to move that too.
Okay. Awesome. Article 21 is amending the zoning bylaws allowing for accessory dwelling units.
Mr. Wandell will be making that motion.
Okay.
Just as a quick overview, the Commonwealth passed a statute that allows them, in the absence of us putting regulations in our zoning bylaws, we will have no regulation locally. And so this gives us local regulation, and it's very important that we pass it.
And to piggyback off of what Bill said, this is going to be a majority vote on a zoning bylaw change.
Okay.
Because it's already been approved by the
Okay.
state. So that's your anomaly. Welcome. It'll be in
Yeah.
the notes.
Just a simple majority?
Yeah,
Just a simple majority, yep.
which is unusual.
So Article 22 is another, keep getting it's up here, another zoning bylaw amendment.
So we,
Yeah, I can't remember what
So,
this one's
so
about.
along Washington Street, we have a number of zoning sections. Business B, in a couple of the sections, is 800 feet. In this one little section, it's not, and they're just trying to make that consistent. I won't use the word spot zoning elimination in my remarks.
Definitely won't say land swap either.
No. So,
So who's going to move that one?
Andrew Wandell.
Andy?
Yep. 2/3, standard stuff.
I don't have that on here, I don't think. 2/3. But it is a 2/3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Article 23 is another amendment of the zoning bylaws that, well, maybe you can explain it.
So
We still trying to
it is,
explain
it is the regulation of a public utility. Pembroke does not have any regulations within our zoning bylaws on public utility. So if a utility company wants to position something in Pembroke today, They simply apply to the state, and the state likely approves it. We want to be able to have some local control over that, so we're adding this to our zoning bylaws.
It's the old Osborne property up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
But it provides for screening and all of the things that butters would want.
Andy's going to do that one?
Yes, he is.
Okay, great.
2/3 standard.
So the next several articles are all the community preservation projects funded from the Community Preservation Fund. And I always treat them as almost like separate articles. Lisa Cullity is still chair.
Yes.
So,
And she's prepared. Yep.
great, all right. $500,000 for the restoration of the playground of the Hobbamock Elementary School. $20,000 for the Kiwanis Building at the Herring Run. $110,000 for the community center,
Playground?
right? $50,000 for Magoon Park, the baseball field in North Pembroke, and the park, and $21,000 for the Lydia Drake.
A very important article that everyone should consider.
So Sabrina's favorite article.
Lydia Drake is my favorite building in town,
It
next to
is,
my house.
it is awesome. It is
I love it.
absolutely awesome.
That entryway
Please.
porch and roof structure
gosh.
has to be replaced. It's coming off.
Cub Scout meetings there when I was a kid. Article 26 will be on the consent. It's the town election.
Article
25.
I'm sorry, did I miss one?
Roadway acceptance.
Oh, yeah, right. Bristol Estates. My predecessor, John Walsh, used to say, does anyone know what Bristol Estates is? And raise your hand or whatever we're accepting, and most people didn't know. Where is Bristol Estates?
It's,
Off of Old Washington.
yeah, sort of,
It's over
Also
near
Taylor.
Dishes.
off
Taylor
of
Street.
Taylor, going toward Duxbury and
On the other
Kingston
side
that
of
way.
53?
Yep.
Andy will do that one?
No, actually, I believe Linda's going to do it.
Okay.
It's a subdivision, it's just a roadway acceptance. We
Yeah.
talked about that earlier, Linda. He doesn't care one way or the other. He's, he wants to do the zoning bylaws. This roadway acceptance, Steve, the difference is that the select board hold the hearing, but planning board puts it forward. So it's just a little bit, everybody's involved. So advisory, when I spoke with Linda earlier, said it's a majority vote, they can make that motion, and Andy's prepared to talk to it.
Right, okay. Article 26 is part of the consent that's accepting the town reports. That's a routine article. 27, the election is actually part of the warrant. One year, we recessed or had to adjourn because we didn't have a quorum and never got to it. And someone said, can we still have an election? And the answer was yes.
Yes.
Still an election. So it's still on there. And I just hope the town clock line item is still
It's still
It's
in
still
there. I
there.
didn't look.
It's still
Okay,
there.
great.
Someone will probably ask.
$1,500 or something?
It's a little more than that now, I think.
Oh, okay. So Article 27 will also be in the consent. Article 26, so the last three are citizens petitions. I actually love to see citizens petitions on the warrant, because it's kind of another example of democracy in its purest form. So the first one would, and I don't know if this is binding or not, but it would direct the town to cease fluoridation treatment. So I guess my first question is that a binding that passes?
Ironically, Carolyn Murray from KP Law did ask that question, and because the member of the Board of Health and the other two current members of the Board of Health, there is an open seat, if you remember, on Saturday, one of them will be running for re-election, but on the night of town meeting, all three of the members are in support of this. And to authorize and direct the Board of Health to cease fluoridation is binding.
Okay. Oh, and that's what it does, it directs the
Yes.
Board of Health. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
And I actually did talk to her today, she's going to get the article from you, the motion
Yes.
from you, and
Yep.
address it and so forth. So just a general question, again, I should know this, but we don't have many citizens petitions. Are they amendable, or is
No,
it? They're not?
absolutely not.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The misspellings, errors,
Yeah, you-
duplications, can't fix it.
And some of them become fatal as a result of that because they put in incorrect or information that makes it.
And Steve,
not
if you look on the
possible.
screen, Mass General Law, Section 8C, it's an incorrect reference, we couldn't change it.
Okay,
Carolyn
She said
will
there was
mention
something
that.
wrong with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Carolyn will mention that at the time of the vote.
It's not fatal in this case.
Right.
But in some cases, it could be.
Right. And fluoride is misspelled, but we'll
That's
work
what she
around
told
it.
me. Well, it was misspelled, yeah.
If I recall, was there not, I think a couple of years ago, there was a citizens petition about the change to the recall elections? Someone attempted to make an amendment to that one, which was defeated on the floor. But in hindsight,
So-
should that have even been technically?
So town meeting can amend a citizen's petition, but
You
we
cannot.
cannot change the language submitted by citizens. The board can't take and make changes to it, nor can anyone else. It must go forward as written.
Okay, so my question wasn't probably clear. That was my question. Can the meeting
Yes.
amend? Okay.
Town meeting
I'm
can
sorry,
amend it, yes.
But because the document must reflect the business that will be presented, we cannot go clean it up later. You have to get to town meeting floor, make the motion, and have Carolyn then state what it should be, and then it can be massaged.
So the motion will spell fluoride correctly and refer to the correct section of the general law?
Right now, it basically says the Board of Health will discontinue fluoridation of the water in the town of Pembroke without a citation to a thing. But Carolyn's going to state it because she wants the record to reflect the correct.
Lesson learned there, if you're a citizen proposing a citizen's petition, it's
Partner.
probably better to partner with us and communicate with us about it. And if you don't have to cite a statutory reference, don't.
Don't get it wrong. And oddly, this year has been, the town clerk advised, she'll mention it to you, I'm sure, that the clerk's meeting for the state, there's tons of citizens petitions coming out of the walls and people trying to then amend them. So there's now new dialogue about that. So it could result in some kind of conversation.
Well, I never remember having three.
I know.
You?
No.
We've been around about the same time. Yeah.
No.
I don't remember the last time we had. I'm sure we had
Are we
one.
going for 4 next year?
Yeah.
I want a hot dog to not be a sandwich.
It's not.
It is. Choco Taco is a sandwich. I will fight this.
Die on that hill?
I will.
Beyond the scope.
So, all right, so about this is, so you're telling me that we don't fluoridate our water? We don't add flour to our water?
We do not. We
Okay.
fluoridate our water.
We don't.
But
I just
again,
want to be clear on the language.
these are amendable, so if someone offers a
Only
motion.
at town meeting.
Right, at town meeting. And again, that has to be within the scope.
Right.
And once again, Carolyn will be sitting directly
Oh,
in
yeah,
front of
sure,
you.
yeah. Has to be related.
Because
to
it
the
could get
article.
weird.
Yeah. So, Rich, this is yours, the next one, the plastic bags, right?
Yeah, recognize me on that.
I will.
So I thought this one was withdrawn.
I'm the petitioner, and I never withdrew it. I know that Bill had brought this up before, but it was incorrect.
I believe the bylaw review committee put it in and took it out, but the citizens petition cannot be taken out. It has
I see.
been
That's my
submitted and here it
confusion.
That's the
stays.
difference.
Yes.
Okay, that explains it.
But it's in, and we're going to debate it, and Rich, you'll make the motion. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
And the very last one is a citizen's petition that would raise and appropriate additional funds for a number of different departments over and above the levy limit, contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5 override. So I have a couple of questions. One is, should it pass, my recollection is the selectmen are not obligated to call the board. I
It is
think,
entirely under the statute, the board's
right.
authority for any override, a debt exclusion or operating override. No one can direct the board to do that. The board, this is a non-binding citizens petition, which has the petitioner is going to ask for no action, at least that's what I've been told. The advisory recommended take no action, and the select board recommended take no action.
We have both motions written just in case, but
Okay,
the petitioner will shed more light on that.
Yeah, so I talked to her, we had a long conversation today. She would like to go forward with it, to be able to explain why she filed it, but is going to have a supporter, and she's okay with me saying this, to move after it's on the floor, after it's been seconded, and after there's been some debate, or at least, from the petitioner, to take no action. So, which is perfectly fine.
So she can speak to it,
Right.
but they're planning to do a positive motion, or they're planning
That's what it
to
sounds like.
take no
she-
action
so-
and talk about it.
So you can't get it on the table unless you move it, right?
Well, you can move take no action, and then people can speak to it.
So is it that she just wants to explain what her thought process
She
was
doesn't, you
without?
don't need a positive motion for people to speak to the article.
Do you have the authority to give her the speaking moment?
No, the article's got to be on something's got to be placed. We may have to talk to town council about this, because
Actually,
my
that
thought
makes sense.
is that if it's got to be on the floor for anybody to address it. You can't
there
take
is-
no action on something that isn't on the
But
floor.
there is a motion on the floor. The motion on the floor will be to take no action.
On Article 50.
Correct.
But we
Good
could do it
question.
either way.
Well, we've written both motions, so we're ready to go either way.
Yeah, because she was inclined to move it just to be able to address the issues that she wanted to address, which is, I have no problem
A
with that.
citizen's right,
you know.
citizen's petition.
But she also agreed, she said there had been an agreement not to move forward on it. So.
I have no problem with her speaking in it, and there is a take no action is a motion if it's made by
Right, I
somebody.
don't know why I was thinking that it had to be on the floor first.
It is on the floor. Take no action is a motion on
No,
the floor.
no, I know, but you need an article on place and seconded to take no action on. See what I'm saying?
Well,
So in other words, she has to
advisory-
read something into the record in order to then.
But advisory will make a motion to take no action.
We were gonna move it.
Yeah.
We're gonna-
Right,
petitioner's
petition.
gonna-
They don't do citizens petitions.
Okay.
So if there's gonna be a motion and a second, the motion would be to take no action, and there would be a second to take no action.
Right, and then you
That's
decide.
But I hear what you're saying, Steve.
The only thing is, the other thing I didn't check on is whether, my town meeting time with me, whether take no action is debatable. That's the
Yeah, it
question.
is.
Is it debatable?
I'm almost positive. I'll check to be sure.
Certainly debatable, because if the town moves to take no action, but the town meeting
Yeah.
doesn't want to hear that, wants to speak to it.
Right.
They have the right, and it's been done in the past, common practice.
Move the question is not debatable, but take no
Well,
action.
yeah, move the question.
Right,
Very
right.
much.
Let's just show on this a little bit. I don't want to overly confuse it, but I do want to give the petitioners the ability to speak if they've got a petition article on the warrant, whether or not they want to see it go through or not.
I was going to say, Rich, is it in the book? In the front of the warrant book, we have the motions. It might just say it right there.
I think it is, but
It may not be. It may not be.
I just didn't bring my
Just
time.
Yeah.
It's the
more
order
in
of
depth
privileged
than-
motions, for sure.
Motion to take no action on article, debatable, yes.
Yeah.
Majority, two-thirds.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sorry, where are you?
On privilege, keep going down. Take
Page
no
three,
action.
First motion, main motions.
All right, do we really have different page threes?
It's right here, Steve. Right at the top.
Oh, you're,
It's the same.
I'm sure you're right.
Right at the top.
Oh, motion to take action.
Oh,
Take action.
take no action.
Says action.
Oh, sorry.
It doesn't list it.
We can look
Is
at
that a typo, or is that a?
No, it's not.
It's a verb either way.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we'll do a little research on it. I think either way, what I, promised or wanted to give the opportunity to petitioner to was just to say something.
Sure.
And so whether it's through a motion to take no action, or whether it's through another way, placing it on the floor, and then she'll
God
be able
bless
to
you and good
address
luck.
it. Pardon me?
God bless you and good luck.
Yeah.
I did have a question. If, it may not happen in this particular motion or this scenario, but if there's a scenario where there's a citizen's petition, but they get cold feet and don't want to make a motion, and the town is under no obligation to be before the motion, and no motion is made after an article is called, what happens? It dies for a motion, dies for lack of a second?
It
Yeah,
it dies because no one put it up there.
Yeah, we did that with DPW several years back, too. They left and no motion was made on their articles.
That's right. That's
Forgot about
right.
that, yeah. Did we not even
Nope.
take it up?
We just
No.
let it go, yeah.
Yeah.
There was no one to bring it forward.
So
Yeah.
it dies for lack of a second, if nothing else.
Yes.
Right, I think it'll get a second.
Okay, just curious.
So, yeah. Again, I just
We'll let it play out.
want to give people an opportunity to speak who have gone through if they want to, gone through the effort to get the signatures and get an article, which you folks agreed to put on the warrant, so.
You have no
They don't have a
choice.
choice.
That's true, that's right, you don't have a choice, that's right. No. Yeah, that's right, good point.
Steve, are you happy to have as interesting a town warrant as this
No,
one?
no, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to speak. And listen, I know this is controversial, it's, talking about more money and more, an override, but I also want to give petitioners a chance to speak if they want, so. 3 on the special. One is transfers, and again, for the edification of people at home, everything we do on the annual is effective July 1st. This is effective immediately. It affects the current fiscal year, which goes to June 30th.
Correct.
So there's 3 articles. One is just transfers into certain accounts, and that's, again, everybody's in agreement on it. I have to say, I'm sure many of you were around back then, but the days when there was disagreement between advisory, board of selectmen, and other boards was difficult. And so it's nice that, again, not that people shouldn't have dissenting
We
opinions.
work it out before it gets.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, again, I think it's better for the attendees, and it's certainly better for the moderator. Second one is the fund the payment of unpaid bills, which takes a 4/5, right?
And there are no unpaid bills.
Oh, okay, so,
Take no action, take no
Take
action.
no action.
Like, next two or nothing. You'll
And
be for the
on
special
Article
3 seconds.
3, all of our contracts expire June 30th, so there is no action to be taken because we did not settle anything that would cause us a current year cost.
so this will be take no action as well, okay. And that's it.
Steve, I have a question for you about some of the procedures this year for the select board. We just had a discussion about take no action and how do you deal with that on town meeting floor? This board had several articles that were presented to us that were subsequently, after they were presented to us, the petitioner, or the presenter, not petitioner, presenter, did not want the article to go forward. So this board reopened the warrant, took those off, so we wouldn't have that awkward moment where there was something on the warrant that we had to say take no action on, which could invite debate for something that is irrelevant. So I think this board should do that as much as necessary, and I just wanted to get your take on that process. So what do you think of that?
Well, my simple answer is the warrant's yours, the meeting's mine. So you can do whatever I have no control, and you know that, of the warrant. So I would say whatever the board thinks is in the town's best interest, however they want to handle the warrant is up to the board. But the less, I don't want to say less debate, because I think debate is good, but the less controversy and the smoother things can go, the better, I think. Because we always have a lot of business, and, it's always questionable whether we'll get a quorum at a second meeting. So again, I never want to rush things to get through just to get it done, but we always have to keep that time constraint and keeping a quorum of 100 in the back of our mind. So I would, I guess, second, pun intended, for any motion, anything that the board does to kind of expedite things a little bit and make things smoother and clearer. I mean, what's the sense of debating something that's not going to come up?
That was the purpose.
Yeah, no, but again, I kind of like petition articles. I just think it's cool. People can get something on the warrant, and that's appropriate, obviously, and so I'll look forward to this town meeting. So thank you, and thank you, advisory, for your hard work, which started almost a year ago, I know. And thank you, and we'll talk about that last article. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chair.
Steve. Thank you.
I have a question in the context of town meeting. Citizens petition minimum signatures requirement. Are we in line with most towns on that? Are we below the, what is the
far?
standard? Do we know?
It does vary. I don't know any town that's 10 or below, which we are. Most towns are in the 50 to 100 range. So,
Something worth thinking about in the future, maybe?
I was going to say, I have a statute that's pretty difficult to work around 10 and 100. But
I'll double check.
could totally, yeah,
I'll double check.
yeah.
Interesting. Anything else? If not, we have Lance Kennedy here. Is Diane coming as well, or no?
No, unfortunately.
I'm speaking on behalf of Diane tonight. She is tending to a daughter that had surgery this week, so she is
Oh, boy.
out. But she is here in spirit and very supportive, and we can talk about, she really helped put this proposal together, so.
Well, thank you.
Definitely an integral part.
And the proposal is for 144 Center Street, the old Council on Aging building.
It is, so, history, obviously, the Council on Aging was there about a year ago. Hard to believe, we moved them about June 1st, so almost a year ago, down to the new community center. So with that building remaining vacant, we're excited for the opportunity to kind of share what we think could be a good use of that facility. Being the program director that I am, and the B being a prominent feature of that building, and as we were putting the proposal together, we thought about what sort of concept will be in, and I'll actually highlight sort of the hive mindset, which I think ties into what we're proposing for this event. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So the needs, and that's where it all starts, right? What are the needs, and why would it make sense for those needs to fit within this facility? So we're looking at twofold here. One being that day service program for seniors to help them provide, one, it helps provide respite for the caregivers, but it also provides a much needed care for those seniors that need it. We're sort of focusing to start early on with a social model, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what that does is it provides care for those sort of in that early onset challenges with dementia and the mental challenges for some. This is a program that will sort of help support that. And then the other need being a place for teens that is dedicated for them. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So those are the needs. So let's talk about the adult day program. So a little bit of history. Gretchen, who was our former COA director, really proposed this as we were looking to see, as she was looking to move the programs down to the new building. What do we use the old building for, and how can it continue programs for seniors within this building? So she, at the time, proposed something that the town would take on this program, right? We would hire staff, we would look for professionals to really run this program. With that brings a lot of challenges, right? Having enough staff to meet needs when you have calls out, the cost of the program, and then obviously licensing and those components, which can be a challenge for many. So with that, we're sort of looking at how do we bring in others to partner with and be supportive of that. So with that, we are looking at a couple agencies to come support us. We've had conversations with a couple, and there are agencies interested in doing this and partnering with us for that. But let's talk about the program itself. What it will do, it will provide a safe, structured environment for our seniors requiring that daytime supervision. Obviously, it'll sort of cover the gamut. So a social model different than a medical model, right? So the medical model, a little more intense, equipment involved, a little more licensing, nurses, medical professionals, all of that. So we really want to start with something basic, and that is this social model, providing social and recreational activities for them. Obviously, transportation being very important. We have that in-house, and we're very pleased to be able to continue that, and that's something we can offer to these agencies as part of that partnership. Supportive trained staff, we talk about that. The ones that we've spoken with so far, have a network of teams at different locations around the South Shore area. So if there's need for that resource, it's there. Nutritional meals and snacks. Many of them already partner with Old Colony Elder Services like we do. So we're looking at both utilizing the current kitchen that we have down at the community center to provide meals, or as you'll see as part of our presentation today, potentially bringing an outside vendor that could help support with meals through that process. Obviously, memory support being a big key to that, and then bringing in outside guests. Several groups that we've talked with have great partnerships, and they bring in guest speakers. With the library being next door, we know there's a great resource there. So taking advantage of all the different areas. And then to me, the biggest piece, and I've seen in my short time of learning about the value of our senior services, is providing care, those caregivers, that essential respite, right? We know they're spending 24 hours. It's the children, it's the loved ones of those that are struggling, that need the support. They need some time away. So to be able to give a couple hours a day that they can drop off their loved ones, know that they're in a safe place, that they can go and run the errands that they need to do, support other family members, all those things. We see that there's a huge value for that. So all that combined, we feel is a really important need and something that we want to address through this facility. no matter what happens with your decision and where we go with this facility, this is something we've identified as a need, and if it needs to start in the community center in a smaller way, then that's something we're willing to look at, but we know we can be more effective. We've already talked with several of these agencies, and they support Pembroke members that have to go to Plymouth, that have to go to Hingham, that have to go to some of these areas a little further away. We'd love to see that in-house and be able to support that, but not only support, but expand that, right? So to bring them home and have these services right in-house. We'll have some time for questions, but was there any questions regarding this sort of adult day model and what we'd like to see there?
What are you asking us for tonight?
Sure. Really, I'm going to present what we think would be great programs. There's no cost from what we're proposing to the town. I think with this model, we'd like to bring in a third-party agency, which potentially we would, and looking at the model, have sort of a three-tiered leasing structure. So obviously we have this facility, right? They're bringing in a service and their professionalism. So for this particular program, they would offer a certain cost to those participants. They accept all the Medicares and the different federal and state funded programs as well as private pay. So from a cost standpoint, that would come on to the participants. And then what we could charge them for lease or rental fee would be able to go back into the facility, into other programming. So that's this component and where the funding could come from that.
So I promised the town about a year ago when we opened up the community center that we would look into what the next use of that building would be. And because the community center was brand new, we needed time to get that open, operational, and then to look at what the purposes of this older building could be used for. And we still haven't done a study on that. So I'm not prepared to move forward now or even in the near future with your proposal at all. Because that building needs so much repair, so much work that has a cost associated with it. We still don't know, your proposal it sounds wonderful, but I don't know if that's the best use for this building. And we don't know, we shouldn't know right now because we haven't studied it. So, and I'm speaking to the board members as much as to you, Lance.
Sure.
So I think that this board needs to have a study committee to look into what the best uses are, what the available spaces are in there, and what refurbishment they need, the bathrooms and what have you, and find out what we can put in there. So I think it's way too early for committing to a program like this. And I also think that that program is going to have ancillary costs associated with it and not be a zero sum, as you say. I doubt that, but I don't know enough about it, but I do doubt it at first blush. And I would like the town manager to give us a couple of words about what he thinks this building could be used for, and maybe chime in on your program, and maybe he thinks it's wonderful. I haven't talked to him at all about it.
Well, before we do that, we did ask for presentations on these ahead of time. We weren't making it, there was no vote to be made tonight or any decision to be made. We had just asked the Library Foundation, or the library to come out and discuss what they were thinking, and the same with Lance. We had actually asked him to come out and just let us know what his thoughts were, but there's no vote to be made tonight.
No, I understand, and I'm not disparaging Lance. He has a wonderful presentation, well thought out, and it might be the best program for Pembroke. It might be, but we just don't know yet. And again, I'm speaking out loud, not just to you, Lance, but to the board members and the public.
Sure.
So that they know how I feel, and I think that's how we all should feel at this moment.
I think, I hear a lot what you're saying. I agree with a lot what you're saying. I do think it doesn't hurt to hear from the different entities that have expressed interest in the building, even though we may not take immediate action now or in the very near future. I think it makes sense to do a study committee of some sort after we hear the presentations and we have a better idea as to who's interested, why are they interested, what are they proposing, and then go from there than the other way around. So I don't think there's any harm in hearing the presentations. I think that's probably a good part of the process, and then go from there.
Well, I agree with that 100%. for what Lance has presented tonight, and if there are other entities in town that have similar interests in the buildings, to hear what they have, that would help direct any kind of committee. So please, by all means, anyone that's interested, bring presentations to help us along.
And maybe that's part of the process. We hear the presentations from the different interested, entities, and then we, from there, say, okay, is anyone else interested? We hear crickets, we know who's proposing it, and then we move into a study committee phase where we look at those, what it would really cost from, outside of the presentations and what they believe that it would cost, and then take action following that. Because we've got the Hatch building is empty. It's been sitting there for.
We don't control that.
No,
Okay.
there's still, I understand
That's a whole
that.
different conversation.
That's a separate conversation, but I'm just mentioning that we've got Hatch building that's empty. We've got now the old Council on Aging building that's empty. We're about to have an empty police station, because we're gonna have the new public safety building. We're gonna have an empty fire station. We can't let these things continue to build up. We have to start moving forward on things, I think. And I think having the discussions is the first place to start. But we just got to keep the ball rolling because we've got too many things that are empty right now.
And I think that's exactly what we're doing, hearing the presentations and acquiring the information to use for later.
Yep, and when I speak like that, I'm speaking as, so a lot of times I ask a question that I already know the answer to, so that's in a similar vein. I'm putting it out there for everyone.
Absolutely. No, and whatever happens with this facility, I think those of us that are working for the town, right, we know the resources, right? And when there's needs and programs that we would love to see, we're excited to see opportunity, right? And I think that's what we're here for. I know for the senior services and recreational services that I represent, if there's an opportunity to provide a service, that's something we'd love to. So if you're still open to me finishing that, I will continue.
I would like that very much.
However you tend to go with this, that would be great. Because as I shared earlier, I think we've identified the need. So no matter what happens with this facility, it's something we're going to continue to address, whether it's through this facility or something else. And like you said, my neighboring buildings, I see a lot of vacancy. We'd love to continue the campus around here in the center to grow and be vibrant. So any way that we can help support that, we'd love to do that with the programming here. So I'll move on then to sort of the second part of that is, and today's a good day to talk about that, would be, is the youth component of that. So when we built the community center, there was a space designated for an activity space. It was supposed to have, with the lights, it was going to have pool tables, ping pong tables, all of that, right? As we have moved in our first year of the community center, we've realized how we've been using it has been filling it up. And to dedicate yet another room to that would be taking away from the programs we're already pretty busy at running. So with that, I'm finding that, and we're seeing it in our parking lots on warmer days, the kids are out there, but there's no real space for them to call home. They come use the gym, which is great, but sort of in the unstructured mode, there's not a ton for them to do. Obviously, Tracy knows we're working on a skate park and potentially a bike park for these kids to find a place to go. The challenge for me, and always been throughout my career, is I go out there and I talk to them, right? And I have a hard time saying, stop doing something, right? Because then I feel like I'm not doing my role in saying, there's the need, I got to fill that, right? So these are one of those things that I know they're going to be kids, they want to ride their bikes, but they need a safe place to do that. So that's a separate conversation. This is sort of that same thing. These kids want to get out of the house, they want to be with their friends, but how do I provide a space that they feel comfortable in and that they can call their own, right? So we thought with the joint model, the day program runs for a certain time during the day. There's a lot of vacancy at night. How do we continue to utilize space to its fullest, right? So this is one of the models we've talked about. It's more of a drop-in model, different from what we're doing at the community center. Community center is very structured, very programmatic, and to an extent focused more on the school age versus that tween to kind of teen component. So with that, providing the pool tables, the ping pong tables. I loved how the library was looking to use this space for young adults. I think it's a natural partnership where that young adult books can come and be a part of this area, right? And then she also had the podcast component. We were talking about having a music room, a podcast room. So I think the partnership there that we could do to utilize this space for the young adults would be tremendous. Been a lot of conversation around age for this program, right? So the library currently allows 8+ to come in their facility and use it. The community center is 12 plus. I've sort of had that policy within all my Ys because unsupervised young people can be a challenge sometimes. In the community center, even though there's certain spaces that are great for drop-in, it's really not designated that way to kind of drop your kid off unless you're coming to the gym. This would be sort of more of that line. So I welcome feedback on what we feel the need is for an age group. I have had early conversations with the Boys and Girls Club in Marshfield. We have some connection there. They run very similar programs, and they've potentially talked about, could this be a satellite? So that would bring in their resources, their support, their staffing, their structure, their model, which could work. And they work both from young ages all the way through those teens. So it's something, again, a concept that we'd love feedback and support to see, is there truly a need? We think so, but how do we utilize that best for what age group within our community to take advantage of that? Obviously staffed, we want that to be an important piece so that the safety is involved within the kids on that. So then this third component, we're talking about, well, how do we meet sort of both needs? So we do have a kitchen in the old building. In conversations with actually the chamber on this, is how do we also support local business through this process? We thought with the teens being there and the seniors also looking for meals, how do we bring in a small business vendor that may be mobile right now or looking for opportunities to come in and utilize that space, again, bringing in rental income, to provide a service both for our day program with meals and then potentially a little cafe component, and then little smoothies and whatnot for the teens later on in the day, right? So supporting local business, but also providing, again, rental revenue for us to help support the building. So we talked about who's going to carry this out. So with the adult day program, we would bring in a third-party agency to kind of help use their professionalism, their networking to help us run that. With the teen center, we would start with rec services, but if the Boys and Girls Club and if that model potentially worked for us, that's something we could look at and we'd love to see happen. And then the cafe smoothie shop, obviously we would bring in an outside local business to help us support that. So what are the benefits? Obviously, we support our seniors' independent wellness and dignity while providing a much-needed respite for our caregivers. We would provide teens with a safe and enriching space to grow, support the local economy through vendor partnerships, and then a revenue-generating opportunity that could help maintain that building. So going back to the name, and obviously the bee played a big part of that, but the hive mentality I thought was interesting, right? So the hive mentality refers to a powerful collective behavior of community working in harmony towards a shared goal, which we feel like potentially this building could serve. Inspired by the way bees operate within a hive. Each has their role, obviously collaboration and independence being a big piece of that, right? So for us, the community hive would be a place where generations could come together, resources shared, and everyone contributes to a stronger, more inclusive town fabric. And so this building could potentially serve that. So with that, I'll leave you to questions.
That was lovely. Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions?
I had a
that you haven't
question.
already?
So Lance, is the Recreation Department partnered with the Boys and Girls Club?
No. So again, through a connection with Peter Brown and Tiny, who's connected to all these different agencies, when I first talked to him about the potential vendor for coming into the kitchen component, he said, well, why don't you have a conversation with the leadership over there? They're talking about expanding some satellites on the South Shore and potentially could be a support for us that way. Selfishly, I'd love to run our own, but sometimes I have to admit, okay, do we have all the resources to provide the best service for them? And it's just an option and a conversation right now. There is no formal partnerships or any of that, but I think dialogue has been there, and I know in the short time I talked with them, they do a very similar model and serve several age groups, so they could bring some great resources to us.
Yeah, because that's a town-owned building, so are we duplicating services?
This would be a different model than anything we're doing currently. So we don't have sort of this drop-in model of coming in, the hangout, providing resources, sort of in an indirect model. What we're doing at the community center is more very programmatic based. Here's an activity, you come participate, you're doing that. This would be more of an open concept model where there's things to participate in, but it's not real structured.
Right. So what you've presented tonight gives us a lot to think about, gives me a lot to think about. Some of it I'm unsure of, but what I am sure of is the town picked the right person to be the recreation director.
Thank you.
Yes, they did.
Again, it's a team effort. We've got an amazing team over at the community center. It's certainly just not one. It is a hive. It takes all of us there to make it happen. We appreciate all the support that we've received, and we're excited. Again, there's some great minds over there that want to do some really great things in our community. So I'm excited. My job is to let them go, give them the resources they need to do, and let them go at it. So we're excited to see that, and this presentation represents that and the team effort with that.
And I love the name. Did you have something, Sabrina?
I was just wondering if you'd open it up for other people's questions. I had a question.
Sure, please do.
Out of curiosity, in the conversations you've had with some loose, informal conversations, both adult daycare and teen, are any of these people that you're considering working with interested in giving Pembroke residents preference?
Oh, absolutely. So when we talk about this program, one, we want to make sure the needs of the town itself, it starts there, right? So that's conversations we're having is, have we identified those and are they getting priority within this? They would have the benefits of free transportation versus an outside resident that would come and participate in the day program. We would give our residents that free transportation where they wouldn't have that. So there would be that benefit to them. And I think we're trying to have conversations when we talk about how much would a lease be, and that's one of the biggest questions they're asking is, we want it as affordable to our residents as possible. So we know that they're going to pass the fees on to them. So being able to figure that structure out so that it's not overpricing our residents, but we're still able to maintain the level that we're expecting.
Well, it's funny, with all the vocational education conversations, you wonder how many seats could Pembroke people get?
Right.
kind of
No, and it's
thing.
very true. And that's been Diane's made sure we've elevated that to make sure that becomes priority. And I failed to mention, I want to add in that there's 2 communities now that do adult social day programs, Situate and Duxbury, through their senior services. Very similar model. Not to the level that we would be able to provide using these agencies, because they're bringing in their own staff, so it's sort of a lower level social day model, but there are a couple that are doing it locally. So there is some reference and some resources that we have around that, and Diane has been working and having conversations with them as well.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot of concerns about parking,
Sure. Over at the other building, you mean?
if you were to use the
At
council aging
144,
building. Yeah.
sure. And I think, again, thinking back to the full campus, right? As taking advantage of the community center parking, potentially as this lot. When we have any activities here, that's part of a key of that happening. So with the day model, we're transporting them in for the most part. So if we have their staff parked down here, we can address it that way. But I think that's something that we could work through to help address those issues, yeah.
No, like I said, I've been part of this, at least the adult day program, for about 3 years working with Gretchen. And then when she left, she asked me specifically if I could move forward with this. And the presentation that Lance has shown us for a trifecta, pretty much, of what can be done with this building is wonderful. And the reason why I got involved with it too is because my mother-in-law, when she had Alzheimer's, those caregivers need help. And I would go to the Council on Aging and they would help me out, give me a couple hours break, just to make sure, I could just breathe. So, but to bring it on to more of a shared facility, adult daycare, folks that need help, the caregivers that need a break, to teens coming in for basically helping that out, working with the library. I'm very happy. Thank you, Ben. So appreciate that.
You bet.
Did anyone else have any comments or questions?
I'd like to put my 2 cents in.
Sure.
I'm in residence
Could you,
Pembroke.
Get a microphone.
I do.
you do. Could you
Yeah.
tell us your name?
Name is Fred George.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Your name's Tracy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've been a resident of Pembroke for 50 years. And I don't very often go to any meetings. But I feel like I have to put my 2 cents in here. Nobody's talking about the food bank with the economy the way it is and what's going on. I mean, I know there's humming and hawing about parking in front, but there's plenty of parking around the back. So why can't that be implemented?
I believe the food pantry decided they didn't want to move into that building.
Why?
I think they just decided to make improvements at the building they were
Is it
in.
a shame because they have to go around the back?
Not at
No.
all. They are at the Bryantville location, and we have committed to upgrading that location. We're in the process of upgrading heating, upgrading air conditioning, bathroom spaces, and their interior space.
That's quite a distance from the center.
That-
If you're hungry, you're gonna go there, right?
It's on Route 27.
27?
It's a major route through town.
Yeah.
And the food bank does provide significant service to our residents.
All right. And
No one's,
there's something else I'd like to add. I created a game called Racquet Pong right here. It is a cross between ping pong and racquetball. It's easy to play. I got the cards here that shows the
I will make sure they get
get them.
You bet.
And yeah, it's a lot more exciting than ping pong. And I got diagrams here.
That's okay, Fred.
It's all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
No problem.
I just wanted to introduce this game, which I think would really take off. That would be an ideal spot. It only takes up 12 square feet, which is the size of a small bedroom. And
Thank you.
easy to play. It doesn't cost you money to play. And I would like to try it out.
Fred, it's going to be the next big hit since pickleball.
I was
Forget
thinking of pickleball.
It's much better than pickleball. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to take that back now. Thank you so much, Fred.
Well, and if you haven't met
Thank
Fred,
you.
Fred has a very unique story which he's written a book about. So you have to check that out.
Is that this on the back?
Yes.
Is that your book?
Yes.
It is. So
Fred lives directly next to me.
Does he really?
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
Where do you live?
My mom was Sheila. You looked down on
next
her
to you,
deck.
Fred.
For one house over.
You live in Elm Street?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, I'm actually Freddie on Elm Street. You know that, right?
Yes.
My brother played bocce ball with you when you built your court a couple of years back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
I
stuff.
think, what's your brother's name?
Tim.
No worries. Thank you, Fred. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank
Oh,
you.
yes.
Did anybody else have any questions or comments while we're here?
It's a great opportunity.
Please come on up if you do.
Hi, my name is Jerry Connors. I'm at 22 Priscilla Drive. And I just wanted to make a comment that I saw online the presentation by Library. Excellent presentation tonight. Food Pantry, when they were here, they made a passion plea to it. And as much as there are meritorious benefits to these presentations that would be great for the town to have, there's got to be, I think we have the cart before the horse to some extent, and you were on it earlier.
Yep.
There's got to be some sort of a real estate professional look to say, these are the four campus elements that are going to come up, what's the best use from a business standpoint. And then at that point, which programs merit consideration. I don't see how you do it the way that's, programs first and then real estate after. So, that's the thought.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have something?
I just want to address Dan's question before, what's the town manager's thoughts?
Sure.
My thoughts all along are, if we are going to use it for needs of the town, that we maximize the economic benefit of that, and not in the sense that we make our leases so high that we're passing huge costs on to our residents. Many residents are going to use insurance for these types of programs, and we need to find that balance between our needs and the real estate cost. I also, any improvements to the building, if we're going to go with a program similar to this, should be built into that cost. I agree 100% that we want to make sure that we understand. I know Lance and I have talked about lease costs and market value in the area in relation to this, and if we go forward with something like this, we'll obviously be talking to providers and determining, what are the needs in the building, what is the cost of those building needs, what are the operational costs of the building, which we've had pretty much identified from an electrical and utility standpoint. And then how do we balance those costs with the needs of the residents, and to make sure? I have always said from day one, when we vacated that building, that I feel that there's two paths the town could take. One path that is a shared use among all of the folks, the library, recreation, council on aging, where we find that niche use where we can put the people in there and maximize this space. I will be honest, and I'm going to be frank when I say this, not all groups want to participate in a shared use. To the point where threats have been made. And I'll leave it at that and talk to you offline if anybody wants to talk to me about that. I, as a town manager, under the Town Manager Act, believe it or not, control this space. I will not allow us to misuse this space in a manner that doesn't benefit the residents of this community, whether it's an economic lease to private sector entirely, or whether it's something like what Lance is proposing and what the library has proposed. So,
Perfect.
enough said.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Who incurs the cost of renovating that building? I mean,
Well,
this is kind of rhetorical. Who pays for that? We never talked about revenue, and I have concerns about potential losses in the future.
So there are multiple ways to go. If you lease the space to vendors, you can do a lease where the vendors are responsible for fit-up costs to make the building useful to them. You do a triple net, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds, I'm pretty much an expert on this, but you do a triple net lease where the vendor is, we discussed a double net, I know, sorry. But you do a lease where the vendor is responsible for costs. However, you don't want to make that lease so high on a profit-making standpoint to the town where that gets passed on to our residents. You absolutely don't want to do that. But you want to cover your costs. So you identify all your costs, you identify your needs, you identify what needs to be upgraded, as Dan said earlier, and then you build that into your leasing structure with whomever is going to be there. Whether it's completely aside and we take that building and we lease it entirely to someone, that market may be there. Whether it's a local office or medical facility or whatever, and you say, okay, we're going to lease it, in that scenario, we're going to maximize our profit, okay, because they're an entirely private entity. Under the shared model, we want to minimize our profit to make sure that we're covering our costs, which includes operating costs and renovation of the space.
But the risk should be on the vendor if we're thinking business-wise.
So if you structure the lease in that sense, like I talked about, the risk is on the vendor. There's very little risk on us in a net lease because all the net costs go to them. We don't pay it. In a triple net, we pay no costs.
And these are just initial discussions.
So they pay 100% of the cost in a triple net lease. Insurance, yep. You are always going to have to carry some sort of insurance, but you build that into your lease. We own the building, so the building owner always has to carry some kind of insurance, but you build that into the lease where they're covering that cost. So I agree with Dan. I'm not sure we're there yet. I know there's an aggressive push to occupy this building next month. I'm not there as occupying it next month. I think we could occupy it early in the fiscal year next year if we do everything correctly.
Bill, we all want you to have your autonomy under your town manager's authority, but there's a political and a perception perspective to this too, that I hope and expect that you would reach out to the board for any way you're leaning before you sign a piece of paper on it.
That's why they're here. I agreed that I would bring anybody, the board asked, members of the board asked, and I agreed I would bring anybody who wanted to use the property before the board to make their presentations, and that's what we're doing. I'm not going to, it's not my style.
Yeah, consensus building is the best way. So
I'm just
wanted to
pointing
say
out that we as a community need to make sure we do this right. And I'm just stating that I won't let us do it wrong without having that huge input, and you should too. I don't disagree with that. It's a huge political conversation right now.
And I think we all agree on that. Anything else? Okay, thank you so much, Lance.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Fred. All righty, moving forward, we have town manager's report. Bill?
Yeah, so I'm going to focus on one thing. One thing this evening, I'm going to talk about public safety buildings. Just a quick update, a formal update in about a month. We have completed the pre-qualification process for all vendors who can bid the process. The building, the project is currently out to bid, with first bids due next Wednesday.
Wow.
Those are the sub-bids. The general contractor bids will be due 2 weeks after that, and then there'll be additional bids because we're phasing in the two projects. Basically, what happened was when we did the pre-qual process, we found out that the bonding capacity of some folks just wasn't there to the cost of the two projects. So we are phasing them in. We're hoping we get the same bidder on both, but the goal there is to make sure we get the lowest bidder, lowest qualified bidder. So if we have two separate bidders, I can get paid. From a management standpoint, we have professionals. I've built millions of square feet in my career. I don't care who's the low bidder as long as they're qualified. Good news, very good news across the board from the pre-qualification process, with the exception of elevators, which no one in Massachusetts is getting multiple elevator contractors. We have multiple contractors in every subfield and for GCs. In fact, our walkthroughs last week were very well attended. At least the one, the other one not so much, but we knew why, because there was a conflict with some of the vendors, and we know some of those vendors are going to bid this project. So, and it was not a requirement. So I'm very pleased by that we're going to have multiple people bidding. Second thing is, there have been 4 major bids of similar projects in the Commonwealth over the last 2 months, and every one of those bids is significantly below the estimate. So we appear to be hitting it in a sweet spot right now. We will see. We'll start to see next week, and then after that, in about a month from now, you'll have a big formal presentation on where we're at, who the vendors are, I have my preferences. I've worked with a lot of these companies, and some are better than others, but they're all, very, very good pre-qualified companies that we have, so I'm pleased by that. So that's all I have, unless you have specific questions about the projects. Go ahead.
I do. Dirt.
It's moving.
It's moving really slow right now.
Well, John, I have guarantees that they're working on it every day. I have guarantees it's going to be gone by June, and it is not going to be an issue.
Okay, because that's
We have spoken with both Mass DOT, with the vendor, and the local person who we know very well, who's actually physically moving the dirt. So, not going to be an issue.
Excellent.
So, any other questions? Okay.
Anything?
That's all I had.
Okay. Do we have any liaison updates tonight? Do we have any old business tonight? Do we have any community comment from the board or from our guests? All right, our upcoming issues. May 13th at 7 p.m. is the annual town meeting at Pembroke High School, which is at 80 Learning Lane. On May 21st, it's the reorganization of the select board.
May 20th?
21st, really, it's typo.
21st, okay.
Yep. May 17th is obviously elections, and June 4th at 7 is a poll hearing for Wampatuck Street. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.